Okay, so welcome back once again. Ghanaian photography. We are continuing from where we left off yesterday, and the conversation ended at the point of your career beginning after your high school. And for those of you joining us, if you've not seen the earlier video we made, that is the part one. Make sure to check the description for the part one interview where we talk to Ghanaian photography. He explains um, how the name Ghanaian even came about, his journey all the way from childhood into completing high school. And in this video, we want to continue from there. So make sure to check that video out to get the full context of this. We're going to go over that, but we're just starting from there and continue. So you go to Motown, you are done, excellent student, pretty much. You complete. And what do you do after that?
After Motown, I think even
Yes, I
in between
remember. I remember you said you wanted to do aeronautics
aeronautic engineering,
engineering, but then that failed because of the
9/11.
9/11. And so, how did you like? What was the update on like what steps did you take afterwards? Choosing to go into IT. What was the
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, my dad wanted me to do finance,
okay?
and I told him, me and numbers, no. I didn't want to sit at one place and be. I don't know if finance has changed, but that's what it used to be, sitting
Yeah,
at one place,
I
calculating
think
people's
it's a lot
salaries
more still like that. Yeah.
and all that. Yeah, so I said I am an action person. I love to put my hands to use, practical. So I said no, I'll do computers instead. So that was I think second year in Motown. So every vacation I would go to NIT for some computer courses.
Oh, okay,
So I did Java. That was when I started programming.
okay.
No, I did officially did Java, which I never used like officially. I still have my certificate,
Okay.
my Java programming certificate, but I never used it because I felt it was at that time it wasn't something I really liked.
Like to do,
So
yeah.
guess what? After Motown, I learned C++ on my own.
Oh,
I learned Visual Basic, and I loved Visual Basic
okay.
because Visual, I
Yeah.
was unlike
Getting to
Java that
see,
you had
yeah,
to code. If you
yeah,
want a text box, you had to code it.
yeah.
But with Visual Basic, you just drag and drop, and
Yes,
then you
yes,
code, you
yes,
add the
yes.
action, everything
Actions behind
behind
the
it.
scenes.
I
I
loved it.
remember that.
So I was programming these restaurant management softwares.
Okay.
These are vending softwares and
Yeah.
stuff. I programmed them like just for fun.
Oh, okay.
It was self-taught. So I learned C++ and then Visual Basic. Later I dropped C++ and I
C++
picked,
is actually still hot cake.
yes, I dropped, it's like the like Juventus, the old
Yeah,
ladies of
yeah.
soccer. People still like them. So I dropped C++ and then I, went ahead with Visual Basic.
Okay.
Then along the line, I was introduced to PHP. So I moved from,
Hey.
Visual Basic was more like desktop applications.
Yes,
So I
yes.
was introduced to PHP. My good friend Henry, he's now in Texas
Oh, okay.
as one of the system admins for HostGator. And guess what? When we were
Oh,
in Ghana together, we were all using HostGator. And then at a
way
point,
back
yes,
when HostGator was,
was
I think those were the LEDs with web hosting,
yes,
those kind
GoDaddy
of things.
wasn't there, I think. All these other
Yeah.
people were not. It was HostGator,
Okay.
with that blue alligator. I don't know if they still
Yes,
have
I
that
remember that blue alligator.
as the logo still.
Yes, I don't know if they changed it, but I remember that
So
alligator.
now he works with HostGator as one of their system
Okay,
admins. Can you imagine? So
a big man now.
yes, he introduced me to PHP MySQL,
Okay,
and it started small, small
which was basically a programming language for the web
web
because
applications.
the Visual Basic you were doing was for desktop stuff.
Desktop,
Yeah.
yes. So I then, my Java certificate was for Java Web Applications Developer.
Oh, okay.
So now doing PHP MySQL, I was back to web application. So with my knowledge in Java, I
Helped
just
you
added
with,
that to PHP, and I worked as a web application developer for over 5 years.
wow,
Yes,
that's a long time.
yeah.
And did you enjoy it at the time, and was it something you thought you could like?
I did enjoy it. Like my first official work,
Mm,
like my first employment
yeah,
was as a web programmer.
developer.
Yes.
Okay.
So
At the time it will be web applications programmer, but then
yes, we
we've
were not
evolved
web
it.
designers at that time. We were not
Yes,
because
that
web designers were like low end
yes,
type
web programmers were the
Now
actual
I think
changed
they've
it,
changed it
and
to
then
front end and back end.
yes,
At that
yeah,
time, you were just a web programmer.
combined
You
together
were doing
like
everything, even
everything.
the
Yeah,
graphic design, everything. Then we
yeah,
were using Fireworks, Macromedia
yes,
Fireworks, and all
Dreamweaver,
that
those things.
before Adobe came to acquire them.
Yeah,
Yes, so that was then I was using Fireworks and
yes,
Dreamweaver.
yes,
It was
yes.
Macromedia. Then now it became Adobe.
Macromedia. I remember that company. I think
Yes,
Adobe is the one who bought
Adobe
them.
bought Fireworks and the this thing
Macromedia.
Dreamweaver
Yeah,
from them, and
memories.
then they killed Fireworks because
Yes,
of Photoshop.
yes, yes, yes,
So Henry
yes.
introduced me to photo. He did something. He took out the background of a picture
Okay.
in Photoshop. Right there, I dropped Fireworks.
And
You know,
then
back
switch
in the
to.
days, web in your web design, you had to do the design in Fireworks just like in Photoshop. Then you
Yeah,
slice
a
the
portion of it,
places
and
where you are
then
going to put dynamic data and all
yes,
that. So I was doing
yes,
that in
yes,
Fireworks
yes.
and then sending them to Dreamweaver for
Oh,
all that.
old memories.
Yes. So
You
when I learned PHP, MySQL, I
okay?
moved from that static
Okay,
HTML to now dynamic. So we had to use databases. We had to develop content management.
okay,
So I specialize in content management development.
okay.
So like for news apps,
Hmm.
blogs, and
Yeah,
those things.
yeah.
That was when Joomla and then WordPress started
Oh,
coming. So
coming
most
up.
people were
Yeah.
using Joomla. I never liked Joomla
and
because it
and I
was
think Joomla also was based on PHP, right? I don't
yes,
know.
but it was more like they had modules. So you
Yes,
could pick
yes,
templates and
yes,
then work on it, but it
yes,
was limiting because you couldn't
yes.
do much
And that is, I
about it.
think, where WordPress came and shined,
Yes,
because they introduced the plugins. They also had
and
templates
even with
where
that, I never liked it because I was more of like a freedom person.
mm,
And the company I got to work with,
mm.
they were hiring people before me, and those people were using Joomla. And they
Oh,
wanted customization, and those guys
and
couldn't
couldn't do it
customize.
because Joomla wasn't allowing
So
them
they were
to,
just buying templates,
and then trying to tweak
push it
them.
to the
Okay.
company, and the company says, "We want this line here," and they
Instead of,
can't put it.
yes, because
So
yeah,
even it made it difficult for them to even recruit me because they were like, "We are fed up with people coming." So they said, "Okay, instead of hiring me immediately,
uh,
they were giving me 1 week."
to test and
So they
see.
gave me the exact work I was going to do for me. And unfortunately for them,
Mm.
that thing they were looking for was something that I was playing with my friend Henry. He
Oh,
was already developing such things.
so it was kind
And
of a straightforward
so
this
I,
thing.
I used 3 days
Pa, pa, pa.
to finish what they were going to employ me to do over
Yes.
there, what people were employed to do for many years and they couldn't do it. I used 3 days. Within 3 days, they were like, you know what? This is exactly what we wanted. You're hired. And that was how I started there. So I worked there
Wow.
for like 4 years.
Hmm.
Then I quit.
Hmm.
Then I was doing my own stuff. So I was developing
More
my
like a
own.
freelance.
Yes, when this Doomsor thing was happening,
Yeah.
I was freelancing. I was developing for mostly NGOs.
Okay.
Most of them had their websites and they needed to update like news,
Yes.
not
Yes.
as frequent as the
As yeah,
news
but
bloggers.
then put up new
And then they
updates, and
needed something simple so that even non-IT people
people
could
can get
update and
to
all that.
update, and yeah,
So and then also so that they don't spend money to come back to me
yeah,
to because for
yes,
me to
yes,
update you, so I will charge you. So
yes. So they needed more like a, which today we will call a content management system.
yes,
They
so
can go in there, change their
I
own.
developed it.
Yeah.
now today they will say back end.
Back end, yeah.
I developed that also with tight security. You need to log in to be able
Yeah.
to do that. I developed it, and I took them through how to use it.
Okay.
So the only time I'll be called in is if they have like some
A
technical
technical challenge which has nothing to do with updating
yes,
the content.
maybe
or
they
whatever.
want to change like something major.
Okay.
That's when I come in to
And
do
all
that.
this while doing that, like, did you have any kind of support from your dad? Your dad is a diplomat. He's dealing like he's
He
on the
was a
international level.
diplomat.
Well, he's on the international level dealing big things, and at the time, was the direction you wanted to take embraced?
He welcomed it.
Okay.
I mean, NIT, I couldn't afford
For the
fees for NIT
okay.
by myself.
Okay.
So he was the one, and he was
How
the
did
one.
you get to convince him to go that approach? Because as a child who wanted to do aeronautics engineering, all of a sudden experimenting with something at the time which was new, the web was relatively new at the time. So how I'm
You'll be
curious.
surprised. Even when I was in Dallas GSS,
Okay.
I did like my dad suggested during vacation,
Yeah.
even in JSS,
Yeah.
he didn't want me to just be at home.
Oh, okay.
So he enrolled me in a computer school. So I started those days. They call it what, word processing.
Yes.
So you do
Yes.
Microsoft Word,
Microsoft Word,
Corel Draw,
Excel, and
Excel,
those kind of
PowerPoint.
and then they had people who wanted to go a little bit further. They had this Access, Microsoft Access.
I even learned Access
Which
with
I
Visual
think,
Basic
yes,
later.
it has something to also do with database where you can
Access is
connect.
database, you see. So in JSS,
Yeah.
he made me do all these courses. And at
Okay.
that time, I felt, but why is this old man disturbing me?
Yeah.
Then I hadn't decided to do computer. I still,
Oh.
the reason
So
why
is it possible that also cultivated a bit of interest in computing at that age, even subconsciously?
I would say it gave me the exposure,
Okay.
which I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
At least I was exposed to something else.
At the
Because
time, you didn't fully understand it,
yes,
but then
I
you
had
got
no
to,
idea I wanted to
yeah.
do computer. And at that time, seriously, there were no computers in Ghana.
Yeah.
Hardly. This
You
was in the
find
late 90s.
late 90s, yeah.
You see,
So, and
hardly.
anybody who had a computer was like,
And then at that time, my dad had a computer
yes.
because
So
of the work
definitely the
he was
OG.
doing. Yes, he had a desktop,
Yeah.
Tikesie, the big one
yes,
in
yes.
his room
Cathode ones.
with dial-up. So if you know what dial-up is, that tone, that thing, you would remember. So he had that in his room. Sometimes I would sneak in his room, go and turn it on. Then it was Windows 95.
Yes.
You see, I'll sneak in and then go and turn it on. Then when I hear the dial tone, I get so excited.
Yes.
Then I turn it off again. You see, so that's what was. So that started with this interest for.
Yeah.
I love speed.
Okay.
That's why I wanted to be a pilot. Because in the air, there's no control. You can speed anyhow. At a point, I even wanted to be a racer. I wanted to be in Formula One. But I knew I couldn't do it
This
in Ghana.
statement today you just made, FAA in the US will be very angry at you.
No, but that's
in the air, there's no control.
I mean, well, but imagine the speed the planes go at.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
We as passengers may not feel it.
Yes,
but the pilot knows what speed.
It's moving extremely fast.
Yes,
yeah.
so that I love speed. So that's what I wanted to do. So my dad drew my interest to computers. So it just happened that at the time when 9/11 happened, and he didn't even say do computer. He said do finance.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? No, I'd rather do computers. And he welcomed it. It was as if he didn't want to be the one saying it.
Okay.
He just wanted me to come out myself. And that's how my dad is. He allows me to make my choices.
And then,
yes.
Okay.
So when that app, I told him, he was like,
yeah,
you already started. So then he was like, you know what? Okay, so I started with global computers
Mosquito.
No, it's not Mosquito. At Teshinungwa Global Computer. That's why I did my word processing and stuff. So when I went to Motown during vacation, even midterms, 3 days off, he will look for a course and ask me to go and whether it's
a short one.
Yes, NIT had these short courses. So I started like 1 week. Then I did one for 6 months.
Okay.
Then it continued like that. I even did N plus. I did A plus.
Those are networking related?
N plus is networking,
Okay.
and then A plus is hardware.
Is it related to CompShare?
Yes, it's CompShare A plus and
Oh,
CompShare N
yes.
plus.
Because
So when
they
you write
had,
the
yeah.
exam,
Okay.
that's supervised by CompShare.
Okay.
So I was doing
Okay.
more of
Okay.
NIT.
Okay.
So later I wrote my CCNA, and the CCNA was self-taught.
Oh,
I didn't go to school for
wow. I
CCNA.
failed my CCN.
The first one I
CCNA.
failed by
Okay.
just 3 points,
I
and that I blame Gimpa. The system went off halfway, and they had to restart it. You get it? And I failed by just 3 points. 3 points for me to. I
yeah.
failed by 3. I
Mine too.
blame
I
them.
think I was close to passing,
And
but
guess
then I
what? I
also
went
failed.
back to write
And
it, and I
then you
passed.
got it.
That
Okay.
was the CCNT.
Okay.
Then I wrote the CCNA, and I
Okay.
passed that also.
Yeah, I never went to write it.
So I wanted to write the plan was to write the NP.
Okay.
Every 3 years,
You
when you
have to
write a higher
renew it.
one, it
Yes.
renews. So I wanted to write the NP, but
They have CCNA, CCMP,
IE. IE is like
yes.
masters.
Joe,
And that one
all
you
the
can't
way.
write in Ghana. You have to go to the
Yes,
nearest
yes.
place is South Africa. So you have to
Oh.
get visa, plane,
But then at that, when you
residency and
get
all
to
that.
that level too, you are
And
like,
it will interest you to know that all these things I was doing them out of fun. CCN, I wrote it for fun. I
okay,
was just enthusiastic.
about the whole networking.
Yeah. So I told my dad, I want to learn for CCNA.
Yeah.
He sent me a whole rack
Okay.
of Cisco devices
Ooh.
to practice with. I was using the simulations, but they
Weren't as,
it wasn't like physical moving cable. You could
yeah.
you could
Do
move
it
them
with your
on the
mouse
screen, but
and
then I needed.
physically
So he
doing it.
sent me 3 Cisco switches and then 2 routers in a rack. So when they came, I fixed them myself. So now I practiced
You
and I
could
went.
connect your
Yes.
computers
So I
and
didn't go
then,
to school for the CCNA thingy. I
and
wanted to do it at NIT or IPMC, but they bloat their curriculum.
oh,
So instead of something that you do for 3 months or let's say 1 month, they will say 6 months because of course they needed to get the money. So they will
yeah,
add a lot. I mean, somebody who says I want to do networking, why would you have a module in the introduction to computers?
yeah, that's
It
redundant.
didn't make
They
sense to
already,
me.
the
Yes.
person,
You were
well,
wasting my time.
for somebody like you, yes, it's wasting your time. But then maybe those models are also
No,
there to
but I
accommodate for
come to you
people.
that I want to do networking.
And that person coming to do networking might have
I already
absolutely,
yes. If I'm specific, if I come to you, KhoPhi, today that I need you to develop a particular application for me, do you have to now take me through application development cycle?
not really.
Exactly, because I've been if I say KhoPhi, I'm looking at I explain what I want. I didn't even state that I want this particular application. I say, oh, I want a software to do this for me. Then you know that okay, this guy doesn't know much about. But I come to you that I want this specific application. I even give you like terms for you to understand that this guy knows what he's talking. Do you still need to take me through?
I think their curriculum, they make it in such a way that it cuts across from beginners to pro.
Which I had a problem with.
What they can do is probably have sections in there
Strictly,
saying you can start from this to, because somebody doesn't need introduction to computers, they might have to jump
perfect.
all
And
those steps.
NIT has that kind of module.
Okay.
So you can join a class maybe 2 months after because what you want is
it's
this
from,
particular
because
one.
you know the course outline.
So a
you
6-month course, they've divided in a way that
into-
every month maybe there's a module that they
that is
handle.
being considered.
So somebody can join maybe in the 3rd month. So
Which
because
is
that is
something
what
that
they are
will
in.
relate to
Then
them.
after 1 month they drop because they've acquired and
Yeah.
then they give a certificate for that specifically.
Oh, okay.
You see? So then it was NIT. I think now they said it's now a university.
Yes, I think, is it the one called Blue Crest now?
Yes, Blue. It's
Okay.
now Blue
They've
Crest.
yeah.
They've changed
And
it.
now
When
they,
we were
I think
that was when they started
they started
initiating that thing.
initiating that.
So that's how my dad supported me 100% on my journey to. Then when I finished Motown, my dad opened an internet cafe. Back then, internet cafes had dial-up.
Yes.
I was managing a 10-computer internet cafe, sharing one dial-up connection.
How is that even possible?
Thank you. Now you say how is it? Because
No,
now
I
we
mean,
have fiber.
yes,
Back
but
then it was dial-up.
And
56, 56.3 kilobits per second shared by 10 computers.
Kilo,
Kilobits per second.
kilobits would be, that means 56 divided by 8.
Yes.
That was,
Shared by 10 computers. 10 desktop computer tikesiye.
and
Pentium M's. Eh,
Charlie, this
Pentium
one has
M's.
come far.
And each machine had the highest hard disk in was 3 point something gig. I think 3.6 gig. That was the highest hard
Had
drive
in
Yes.
one of them, and I'm
Yes.
sure it was the size of, because I
It
remember
was those desktop hard drives.
drives. Yeah, I remember my dad brought home a 1 gig hard drive,
Mhm.
and it looked like this and weighed like something.
Yes.
And that was 1 gig. I think they used it in their work line.
Yeah,
way
that's
back
how
in
it
the,
used to be.
I
Those
think,
days,
early
pen
90s
drive,
or
pen
so.
drive, pen drive was in I think megabytes.
When you had,
Today,
I
we
remember
have
when
gigs.
you had 1 gig of pen drive, you were the boss who came.
Yes, I think I still have my diskettes, 1.44
Those
megabytes,
two with VCOP
different colors.
You can install VCOP.
Yes,
from the
and you
diskettes.
know, I think in the early 2000s, I was still going to the cafe with my diskettes to download like sample apps for Visual Basic.
Because if a diskette is 1.4 megabytes and you are downloading apps onto it, that should give you an idea of how small those apps are.
The apps were in kilobytes, but then they took time to download because of the connection. You see,
this one has come far.
In order not to I know most people won't understand. They can't relate.
No,
to
I
some
mean
of these
some
things.
of these things. If you were not born in those days, and then you
and this was the early 2000s. So.
Yes, it's
early,
just 20 years
just
ago.
Passed quickly.
And you see how things are evolving so fast. Like the graph is going this way up. It's very exponential.
And that it will interest you to know that even around all those, I think there was no mobile phone. Only specific people could have. At that time, Vodafone, it was Ghana Telecom, it was One Touch,
It was Ghana
iTouch,
Telecom,
and
became
U-Touch.
One Touch.
So
and then,
the Ghana Telecom had 3 mobile flavors. One Touch was for like the old folks.
Okay.
Then there was iTouch and there was U-Touch. And before even One Touch, it used to be just Space Phone. Now MTN.
Yes.
And it
was it related to Ariba something?
No, Ariba was after Space Phone. Ariba bought Space Phone.
Okay.
Then after Ariba, MTN
came. Okay.
So when Space Phone was there, it was 99.9% unlikely that you would dial once and it will go through. You had to dial over and over before it will go through.
To jog the memory
that was
of the
Mijina Bontina Mikasa. You have to pull an antenna from a phone and all that. So when Ghana Telecom brought theirs, which was One Touch, so you dial one.
And it goes.
Yes, so that was why they called it One Touch.
Yeah.
Because you had to dial just one. So that was when telco started. So they had One Touch, U-Touch for the youth, and then iTouch.
Yeah.
Then somebody had to recommend you before you could buy a SIM card. You couldn't just go out and buy a SIM card. You get anyway. Let's just leave.
I mean, this brings a lot of memories.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you started doing freelance on your own, and then was it working out well? Like
the terrain in Ghana about everything is whom you know.
Yeah. So through the connections,
somebody recommends you. Okay. Oh, I know this person.
And was it paying well? Was it making you enough money?
At that time, let me put it wasn't. It wasn't. It was something emerging.
Okay.
And I don't know if now people understand software development in Ghana, but I believe, just as usual, Ghana here, everything, we're always behind in everything. Yeah. So at that time, it wasn't, even though, so I was doing it more like for fun, for the adventure. The fact that somebody wants an app and I'm able to write it for the person, it gives me satisfaction. So I wasn't charging that much for other, because one, I wasn't used to, or I didn't belong to that class of people, and I was more interested in why they are getting me to do it than me rather benefiting from it. Them. Yeah. So if at that point you come to me that I want you to do this website for me, and the thing is, it gets to a point where you are doing something and you have like the experience. So it's like a blueprint. Somebody comes, I want this app. And then that time it was more of the content management system,
Yeah.
which I already had one. So I just customize it to your need, and
And
then
then we move.
that's it. So it was more of like reusing the code
And
that
that
I
was
had.
still along the lines of PHP or
PHP.
okay.
Because at that time, I mean, it was everybody was using HTML.
Yes.
HTML was static.
Yes.
And then people started seeing like dynamic, because now if I do HTML for you and you need even a phone number changed, I have to
Go back to the
yes.
HTML.
But
with
with
the
PHP, I did it in a way that
you store the data in the
all
back
that
end.
is in MySQL.
Yeah. And then
So
you
if you
can
want something,
update it.
I just go in, and then that was when CSS also came.
Yes.
So I was
the
doing
whole
everything. Yeah. I
making the
think now
interface.
things have changed. They are using now
Yeah.
Django and
Oh
a whole
yeah,
lot
I
of,
started with Django Python, so
you see,
yeah.
and Python came just recently. Back then there was no.
It was well, it became popular recently, but then it's
Yeah.
been in the works
We
way
like
back.
Python. It was just PHP MySQL. That was like the major thing.
Yeah.
Everybody was.
And the popularity is, I think, why Facebook was built with PHP, because at the time it was PHP that was ruled.
Exactly.
And PHP became the program language for the web way early on, and so many corporations like used it, and
PHP is interesting.
it's actually good.
Very, very. It was easy to learn. Well, I won't say easy to learn, but I understood it easier than Java.
It kind of, yes, where it kind of created a middle ground between desktop application and for the
web.
web. And so people who had desktop background could easily get started with the web using the PHP.
Exactly.
And that's kind of how many people got interested.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, your photographic journey, some of the exact experiences, and I also record it. Some of the exact experiences and lessons, the detailed ones in there, we'll probably have to do it in another episode,
like
dedicated one. Because
so now I just brushed through.
Yes, you
how
can
it
just
started.
go over how it's currently. You've explained to us how it started from the group all the way to picking up the camera and then trying to get human subjects to take your shots. And
Okay.
at what point did you realize, say, you can make a business out of it?
All right. So I got tired and fed up of using flowers as my models. So I decided to move to human beings. So that was when I created I realized Instagram was where
At the
all these
time
things were.
was
Yes.
people are
So I
sharing
created an
pictures,
Instagram
yeah.
account. Then I started small.
Yeah.
I was doing follow for follow.
Follow for follow,
Yeah.
yes.
Then I was doing follow and follow.
I follow back.
Yes, that was when
IFB.
we were doing all that, and I realized then Instagram didn't have this kind of algorithm.
Yes,
it was
literally
chronological.
like, yes.
So when
the people you follow,
if I'm following you, and I don't go on Instagram for 10 days, and I go, all the things that you posted in my absence,
will
I
be
get to scroll
shown exactly
through. Now,
based by-
even as you are scrolling, you just lose something. It just refreshes on you, and you get so pissed. You can't get those things back unless you individually go to those people. And
It's so tiring.
so I created an Instagram account, did those follow back and follow and unfollow and all that. Then I realized it was growing and all that. Then I started talking to models. Mariam said, "Oh, this if you want to get models, this and all that." So I started to. So my first like model, aside Mariam, was this model from
Aside who?
Mariam, Fulani.
Oh,
The one
okay.
because at that time she was also now starting.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. My first like official model.
Was
this person I got was at Exopa.
Okay.
So I was so scared that nameless. And how do you approach like a model?
A well-known model to
So I approached her. Then I used to watch this guy, Mark Granger. He was his handle was that Nikon guy.
Okay.
But now he does Sony and all that, so he's back to Mark Granger. So I used to watch his YouTube channel, and so he gave me the YouTube idea that I also want. So I told the model that this is the idea I have. This is what somebody is doing. I showed her some of the videos, and this is what somebody is doing. I also want to do it with you.
Yeah.
So you will be like my go-to person for this. For now, there's no money. We are doing it for fun. I'm learning. So if you would want to spend time with me, so that I'll use you as my model to learn, and then once I become good, you get pictures in return
Yeah.
and all that. She was like, oh, she's ready for it. So we started something like that. But I think unfortunately, Exopa collapsed, and
Oh.
there was this whole thing that
Yeah.
happened. I think
Yeah.
he died or something. A whole lot of
Yeah.
things happened. So I think she became uninterested anymore. So then that I started picking up. So I started doing. It was more for the exposure and the fun. So I was using that D3200 for.
Still the Fifi camera.
Yes, I was using it for a couple of things, and I'll go into details on this, maybe a
A
separate
separate
interview, because
episode.
if I start
Yes,
now,
that,
it won't end.
but so that was the like initial process involved in trying to pick up, and then started growing from
Yes,
there.
so I started talking to people, muses, models on Instagram,
Mm.
and when you are not known like that, it's quite difficult.
Trying to convince
And
them
then,
to,
like, you
yeah,
have nothing on your page to show. The
yes,
pictures you have are even bomb.
yes.
Retouching was at a point I thought I was doing something.
But then it was
Charlie.
over the bar.
Then the group, Epic Photographers, they were full of, I'll say it's an oven or a grill. You post your work there,
Something
they'll
there.
grill you.
The criticisms
At a
are
point, I thought I did something. One guy was like, what is this? Somebody was even told, you need to quit photography and do
yes,
something
yes, yes,
else.
because you are a
Yes.
disgrace to
So,
the work.
but the thing is, all those things rather encouraged me.
Yes,
There was
to
a
be
time
better.
I stopped holding the camera for a month to go and learn how to retouch.
Oh,
Yes.
because the insults were getting to you.
I won't say insult, but the grilling.
Yes.
And at that time, we were taking them in good faith.
Well,
But it
which
got to
is
a point, guess what? Everybody became boss. So you post and people are like, it's my style. It became it's my style because they all became boss. So that's how
yes,
the group just
yes.
died like that.
Okay.
Sometimes I wish we could resurrect it. We
Yeah.
tried so much to resurrect, but then everybody was boss.
Yeah.
So we can't. It helped some of us. So I small like that, then you know evolution. I didn't stay at one place.
Yeah.
I kept now you have to make an alliance with makeup artists,
Yeah.
with models, and some of them will be interested, some will not. Along the line, some will be dropped because they couldn't pull their weight, or maybe you were
Yeah.
going too fast
Yeah.
for some, or some also went too fast ahead of you, and
Yeah.
they maybe thought they couldn't carry you along. So along the line, but there are some that we started like that, and we still are like that. So that's how my journey in photography started. Then at a point, I realized, I had like an agency, a modeling agency that I knew the owner back then. So I was doing more like, oh, let's work together. So I was doing like free shoots for her agent. So I had access to her models. Then I realized when it was like the fresh recruits, she would let me do the shoots. But when he had to do it like a serious shoot, she would pay another photographer to do it. So I was like, wait a minute, what's happening here? So I was like, wait, if you don't give me money, how then am I going to be able to buy,
My equipment,
yes,
maintain
like the
them.
ones that those
Yeah.
you hire are
Are
using?
using, yeah,
So I got pissed at myself for allowing myself
to
to
be
go
used
through,
in that
yes.
way.
So then I was like, nah, even if it's 100 cities that I'll charge, let me start charging that small, so I can get money to. So around that time, yes, from one of my previous jobs, I had a judgment debt that was supposed to be paid me. So I think a part of it was paid, which at that time, somebody got me a piece of land at Amasaman
Ooh.
to buy. That was when that money came. So I was
Came
going to use that money to
to buy
buy.
the land.
And then a friend went to China.
Okay.
So that morning, I think China is like 12 hours ahead of
Mm-hmm.
us. That morning, he called. I think it was getting to evening their time. So he called me. Was like, he was in a a camera shop. He wanted to buy 60D, between 60D and 600D. Which
Okay.
one is good? So I like researching. So I quickly went online, checked, and I was like, 60D is way ahead of 600D. So buy that one with a 50 mm and a flash. And
Yeah.
don't forget an SD card. He was like, okay, then. I was like, you know what? As you're there, just check for me D610. I had already done my research about what camera I should buy. So I knew it was between D610 Nikon or D7000. I knew the 7000 was a crop. So I was like, I wanted D610. So I had it in my list that was the camera I was going to buy, my first full frame. I was like, you know what? Check this camera for me with an 85 mm. He checked it and the thing was like unbelievable, the price. So I told him, no, you know what? You are in China. It is fake. Because the price was like half
of what
of,
you get it
yes,
here in Ghana.
or even Amazon.
Oh,
With an 85 mm, not just the body, with the 85 mm and even a card. I was like, yo, you are in China. It's fake. I don't like it. Then he told me, no. Like when you're in China,
the prices
things are
are
cheaper than even
relatively.
the same people, their online store.
Yeah.
Yes. So I told him, go back and ask, let me see. So he went back, and now the guy said, you think it's fake? Let's go online. So they went online to check the price. The guy said, me too, I increased price. So the guy added a bit. So I would have gotten it like cheaper. So right there, I told him, you know what? I'm interested. Because he showed me a video of the thing, and it was genuine.
100% exactly.
100%. So I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I want that. If he said, I've spent all my money, and he was coming like the next week.
Oh.
But he works with a national security. So he was like, I should go to his office and give the money to his boss. His boss knows how to get
To
it to
send
him.
it to him.
Otilo.
Sharp.
I went to EcoBank, we drew the money straight to
The
his
land
boss.
money, no?
Yes, I stopped buying. Actually, I didn't buy the land anymore. I went to give the money to his boss at the office. The next moment he calls me that he went. Now they said the camera was finished. I was like, why me? But he said, oh, the guy said he will get him another one like the following. But then
Yeah.
now we're looking at he coming back
Without the.
before the camera will come. Then I was there and all then. I think it was 2 days to the time he will come. Then he was like, the guy called him that he should come, that
Yeah.
the camera is in. He went to get it, sent me a picture and all that. Hey, I was like the happiest person. So I got that camera
A
at
la
a sweet
fresh
deal
camera.
with an 85 mm. The way the Nikon things are expensive,
Yeah.
that's why most people use Canon. So that was how I got my first full frame camera. Then, like on D610, that camera is like, it was like,
Is it still available?
I sold it
Oh, okay.
after about 3 years
Okay.
of using.
Of intense.
And guess what? I sold it even more than how much I bought it without even the lens. And the person who bought it used it and also sold it. That's how well I keep my stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. I sold, as soon as I bought it, I bought the case and I sold it with I took off the case for the
Okay.
guy to know how it was. He said, oh, he wants, because he's been seeing my picture like with the case. He said he wanted the case. I added it to it and he also used it for something and sold it. Good condition. So that's how I got my first
Wow.
full frame. Then everything changed. The quality changed.
Now
I
you could
yearned
take
to learn
pictures
more.
like the other ones that the lady goes to pay and then.
Oh yes, it got to a point she was paying me.
Exactly, because now your content
So it
is.
all had to do with me wanting to improve,
Yes.
not staying at where I was. I always yearn to learn. Even now, if you open you see tabs. I watch what other photographers, especially when it comes to retouch, because I teach retouching
Yeah.
also. So I want to know what's the latest thing people are doing.
Yeah.
How are
The
people
latest, the best
doing?
way to
Yes,
go
how are
about.
people still doing the things that we used to do? How are they doing it? What different ways are they doing it? So that I can also teach other people. When somebody comes to ask me a question, I'll already be ahead. I'll know that this is
Yeah.
how other people are doing it. So every time I'm learning something new, that's how I keep developing myself, which
Yeah.
most people are not ready for. And the thing is, it took me years to get to this level.
Level. Yeah.
But most people who come to me to teach them want to achieve this
Yes.
within
Like me,
hours.
I wanted to achieve light with my continuous.
Continuous, like, which you don't want to agree. You see, they want all that within hours. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's practice.
Yes.
I can teach you everything I've learned within hours, but will you be able to grasp them?
And because you are able to teach that not just from the knowledge but then from the experience.
Experience. I
So
have practiced them and
yeah.
all that. Somebody comes to me, teach me retouching. I want to master frequency separation. I'm like, Do you know how many times I have journeyed from Sakumono to Ashoman to Seller's place to go and even this mixer brush.
Yeah.
It was my last journey to Seller that he was like, Alabi, you need to learn, you need to start using, because I had learned it, but switching over
Yeah.
from using lasso to mixer brush was like, and you know what? When I started using the Wacom tablet, my hand got swollen. Yeah, I was using
I
mouse.
have I have my Wacom also
Then I
here.
moved to the pen. I
Yeah.
stopped using it for a month to heal and then finish up jobs before I went back, and then small, I got used to it. Then to move from lasso to mixer brush, it was the same thing. I watched a lot of tutorials on how to use me, and I realized it's what I need.
Yeah.
But the swish,
Was
yes, it was. So I went to Seller one time, and it was like, Alabi, you need to move to mixer brush. It's you when you start using it, it will take some time to get used to it, but you will like it. I switched. It took me about a week to get used to just
to how
brushing.
it works.
And people want you to teach them that within some few hours. And I'm like, I can teach you how to use the mixer brush, too, but you won't be able to perfect it. Your images will look trashy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't end there. Sometimes I can retouch, spend like 30 minutes retouching, then I'll delete
And start
and
again.
start all over
Yeah.
again. That's the zeal to learn. But other people want
And
to do it
the
once.
next one you do it will
It's
always be
better.
better than the
And I
first
can
one.
retouch the same image 3 times and you see 3 different improvements.
Yeah.
You see? But people are not ready for that. They do one, it's not good. Then they just condemn themselves that, I'm not
It's
good
not
at it.
working.
You need to
Yeah.
teach me. Then when I teach, they're like, oh, you left something out because I still can't do it. I'm like, have you practiced? No.
Yeah.
I've had to quite used to come. We were all living, we were close. When I was in Sakumono, he is at 18.
Yeah.
He was mostly always at my place. We were always retouching
Trying
together.
to get better at.
Exactly. So we were always retouching. Sometimes we could just do a shoot. We have the same raw files, and we'll just retouch
And
over and
see
over.
how to improve. And
Exactly. We could just organize a shoot. Maybe when we got to learn about HSS,
yes.
he bought the Jimbe strobe.
Okay.
We were organizing shoot just to go and shoot HSS and then come and read. It was lovely. You see, that's how. But now people just want to sit down.
But it
then-
is because you were enjoying the process. You were enjoying
Yeah.
the.
So the problem now is some look at, you see, before it became a business for me, it was a passion.
Yeah. You actually wanted to do it and you enjoyed doing it.
Even now, sometimes I do shoots because I have an idea of, let's say, a kind of retouching I want to do. So I organize a shoot to get those kind of images just to
Specific
retouch.
results.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are other people ready to do that? No. I see people going around asking for raw pictures. I'm
Oh,
like,
really?
yes, it's a thing.
But they can download some from the web.
Well, they get white people.
Okay.
It's mostly white people, white image. Those are the ones that are available. If you want dark skin, then you need to ask we Africans. You get it? So some of them, I understand. For some, they are more of like retouchers. Others also don't have cameras.
Yes.
But they have laptop. They can
And
retouch.
they can retouch. Yeah.
So for those, but then those like who claim they are photographers, but they can't take like quality
Pictures,
headshots.
yeah.
They can take just like normal, but they can't take quality, the kind that they will want to retouch and post. I'm like, it's all about practice.
Yeah.
I even have 4 dummies, those dummy heads
Yes.
for wigs. I have 4 in my studio.
Where
I
you
bought them
practice,
because
yeah.
I wanted to use them to practice headshots. Because human beings, you feel you are disturbing somebody, but with the
Yes.
dummy, you put it there.
Yes, and then change it the style
Anyhow
you
you
want.
want.
Yeah.
That's how I'm willing to learn something. Every time I'm learning something new. With all I know, I am still not comfortable just staying there. Yes, back then, there was a time I could spend like 1 hour doing a high-end retouch. Now I spend like 10 minutes doing the same thing.
Because
It's
you've done it over and over.
exactly.
And then
It's not
gotten
because somebody
better.
taught me or something. No, it's because of practice. I have practiced, and it's something that those days, like my delivery time was like long. Now I have the confidence that I can shoot you today and edit today and send them
then
to you
get you the
today.
results today. Because you basically know the end results whilst you are even in
Yes,
the
and
process
my
of doing
workflow has improved.
and you know exactly what to do to get the results you're looking for.
Exactly. That's all I want the new school to understand. But some of them just
Yeah, we
want
are
to
using
start today.
continuous light, so we
They
don't.
want to start today, and they want to understand today, and they want to perfect
Oh
today, and
yes, time
all
no
that.
day, time no
Like they
day,
want to build a clientele today.
time no day. Me
That's-
like this, I want all your clientele today.
But the thing is, you need to build that up. You need to build that
Yeah,
trust.
yeah,
That today, a client can just call, and I'm like, you need to make full payment before. They've not seen me before and anything. They still make their payments. Why?
because they've heard your reputation and then.
And they know I won't run away with their money.
Yeah.
It's a brand.
Yeah.
I'm on Google Map. That's the first thing. Some people want to book for like wedding, and they say, "Oh, we want to come and like see your place. We want to meet you." Then give us direction. I'm like, "Oh, easy. Just put Ghana photography on the map."
Yeah.
Once they do that, you pop up your details, everything. They're like, this guy won't run away with our money.
Yes.
Which gives your business that
Some kind
boost.
of.
Yes.
Yeah.
You get it. So that we'll talk about professionalism
Yes,
and
we will
all
have
those
to
things
sit down
later.
once again and have a third episode of this conversation. But then, thank you for joining us in this episode. There's a lot to unpack. I think the next time we sit down, we're going to need a bigger battery, bigger SD cards, and then bigger lighting strobe, lighting, continuous lighting, so that we can brighten the corner.
I'll say probably we can make it into a podcast.
Yes, and this will be the video version of it, and then we will have an audio version that we
And
can
probably
put
we should
on.
get a camcorder so that we won't be limited to 29 minutes.
Yes, yes. Well, actually, yes, true. With a camcorder, we can record as
No,
long
or
as
I'll suggest we can even
use
do
the OBS
OBS.
approach you were
Yeah,
talking
that
about.
will make it because
That
that
also
no
works.
limits.
I hope, say, the cameras can pipe the HD.
Your capture card.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay, it has to do with the
Capture card.
Okay.
Or
But
no, Canon even has a utility where you don't need a capture card. USB.
You can connect USB directly. Yes.
So
But I'm just curious whether the quality coming in will be the maximum.
It is HDMI.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
HDMI
then
clean.
That works. So yeah, thank you for joining us in this second episode. There is a lot more to unpack in subsequent episode, and we'll talk more about that. But then I enjoyed this morning's session relating to the model shot we did.
Oh.
And there's going to be the video posted. You can find the link in the description when the video is ready. We had Ghana Nie take us through one lighting setup going all the way to, we ended up with what?
Using a continuous light.
Using a continuous light.
Then later we went to a flash.
The SL150 Mark II.
And we moved to flash because it wasn't the continuous light wasn't working.
Yes. No, it wasn't strong
It wasn't
enough.
working the way we wanted.
Bottom line is
it wasn't working the way we wanted.
Yes, because the camera, the light wasn't strong enough.
So it wasn't working the way we wanted.
It was working the way it was designed. That's the bottom line.
It wasn't working the way we wanted it to work.
So we recorded that interaction. You can find the video when it gets posted on this channel as well. If you let us know your thoughts about discussions like this, hopefully we'll bring in other people like Ghana Nie to talk about their journey and then how they came from Niger all the way to. That one has stopped recording. Don't worry, it's a sleep mode for the camera. Yeah, so no, my camera, my phone.
Sleep mode, so it's not recording or what?
No, it's recording, but then every 11 p.m.
Me too. 11. I have
the phone goes into grayscale and then no disturb mode, whatever.
Yeah, mine too. So when you send me, it won't even ping. Apart from my wife alone.
The idea is that you should go to bed.
Only my woman's message will ping. The others, even if you call,
those of them with woman, no. Me my own, no, it blocks everybody. Anyway, thanks for joining us, and then let us know your comments about discussions like this in the comment section below. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to come your way some other time. Bye.
Adios.
Ciao.
Yeah, so 11.